I think women tend to do that a lot too. We're always trying to test the boundaries, how far we can go. We do this in relationships.
Oh yeah.
How
Yes,
much can I one up my man? Right? What can I do? It's not malicious, but
No, it's
there is
not.
an
It's not.
internal feminine, I guess
Yeah.
it's a quality. Maybe it's a survival
It's a
instinct
survival
too.
mechanism too, because you have, as a woman, you have to know
No, he's
how
capable.
is he going to react when we're on the
Right,
street and somebody like bumps into him or into me,
Right.
or how is he going to react when we have children.
That's a big attractive thing.
It's a natural thing, you know. She does that shit all the time. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Purpose Over Pleasure in a new studio with new changes. And today we have the pleasure of talking to two people at the same time for the first time, right? I'm getting double tag right here. And today we have the one person that you guys already know, my beautiful fiance, right? Colie. And her partner in crime, the second one in command after me, Kylana. Welcome, guys. You guys are the host of the
Yay!
Unfiltered Podcast.
Yes.
Okay, tell them what the Unfiltered is about. Is it about keeping things real?
Well, guys, Unfiltered is basically a platform that we want to push to help women sort of break out of everything that's kind of ruining their life, essentially, from everything that's being pushed in Western ideologies and mainstream media. Just lifestyles that you see are furthering the detriment of women. So we're trying to bring back and, speak on a lot of issues that don't really get as much airtime. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Empowering these women to be more feminine and not feminist, but
Mhm.
more
God, yeah.
Traditional
Traditional
roles.
values.
We're definitely gonna talk about that one. The I like that comparison, feminine versus feminist. That goes a long way. We always have debates about that. So okay, we'll start off with that, because this is that on in and of itself can be like multiple episodes, right? So, feminine versus feminist. The difference and the importance.
the difference between feminine and feminist. Feminine, you are a nurturer, you are a lover, you are wise. Feminist, you are in your masculine, you are you want to put people down and you need to speak up, and women, just the wise feminine women, just sit back and just watch you, see how you move, and you voice your opinion because it's chess, not checkers.
Okay, bravo.
That's good.
I've seen. It looks like you've done your math. Okay. Anything to add?
Yeah, I think she made a really good clarification between the actual difference between being a feminist and being feminine. I think the first wave, a lot of people come into agreement on this. The first wave feminism started just by pushing equality and trying to get women's foot in the door towards certain things, and that was fine. And then, you know how people are, it's like, I guess, human nature, right? They take something and they run with it full speed, and that becomes the opposite end of the spectrum, which is now promiscuity is being glorified. Things like OnlyFans are being pushed as a means to an end, but in reality, it's just an easy way out for something. Monetary status, fame, getting flown out by different men in certain calibers, things like that. So it all ties in together now. And the interesting thing about this whole thing is that it kind of goes against everything it was, right? These women still end up having to rely on a man to get certain things done, resourced through them. But yet again, they turn around and bash men for whatever it is, whether it's having preferences, standards, boundaries. That's a big one.
Yeah.
So there's really no logical basis to it.
Well, men and women in general are different, because you have a constant battle of logic versus emotion.
Right.
So, and instead of fighting the differences, we should just accept them. Because as a man, I don't consider me being emotional I don't consider it as a weakness, for example, but it's not beneficial to me to be emotional in situations where high risk, chaotic, rapidly revolving situations. I can't be emotional. I have to do my job, right? Which is what women expect in men. So when you don't have that, Then women get to complain and say, you know, blah blah blah, and this guy is weak, this guy's a nice guy, etc., etc. It's like when you dial 911, right? You hope to God you have a masculine man or a masculine woman shows up at your doorstep with a gun and handles business for you, because you don't have that in you. But I'm glad you brought that point up. So it's very important to know the difference, and I'm glad you mentioned the fact that original wave of feminism fought for something else. We constantly talk about that. When in college I took the women's history class, and I learned, you know, about the whole original wave of, they didn't even call themselves feminists. They just fought for women's civil rights. You know, those women actually fought for women's civil rights, and they did a lot of good, and what they stood for was amazing. And nowadays, women nowadays own a lot to those women in the early 1900s. But now we have a whole different story.
The irony is these women back in the day went out there and they fully clothed, just use their voice, and now they use their body parts to make it a point that they need to be heard.
Well, sex sells regardless, and I will take that blame on men. It's prostitution and sexual work is probably the longest the oldest existing profession.
Men are the market, right?
It's always been in the market. It always will be in the market. It's like that in the nature. There's always a few or multiple male species competing for one or few female species. So that's just nature. But the market doesn't change. You don't know about why?
I said not at all.
It's slightly different when it comes to the man and woman dynamic. We talked about the fact that we share. I send a video sometimes of these women saying some ridiculous things like, you know, we need men. No, we don't. Like, that's funny how you're saying that while you're standing on some cement, you know, that was paved by men, you know, in the building that was built by men, wearing the clothes that were probably, you know, made by men, you know, holding a cell phone that was made by men. You know, all the makeup on your faces has been mined by men somewhere, you know, in South Africa and stuff like that. So, but you don't need men. That sounds kind of ironic. You know?
I think those are the minor details that go overlooked. I think the West has done a very good job at trying to blind spot a lot of things in life. We don't get the full picture of everything that's going on. I think social media is also to blame, a big part of this, because of things like just false reality, essentially. If a woman has so many men in her DMs feeding her ego every single day under one post, trying to get with her, you know, showering her with things, flying her out, paying for things, she is under this sense of entitlement, under this, oh, I must be it, I must be this it girl, otherwise why would they do that? Which is why phrases like, I could get a man today to marry me if I wanted to, like that. It's phrases like that exist, but they don't see the underlying issue. What are they financing you for? What are they resourcing these things out to you for? It all boils down to what, and I think women internally know this, we just have a hard time coming into agreement and let alone voicing it out loud, right? It's your body at the end of the day. If you're going to compensate your body for a lifestyle, and that's how much that's worth to you, then you also have to analyze the consequences that come with that. Being, you're not going to be taken seriously by at least the caliber of men that you want, that you find remotely attractive. They're not going to take you seriously. They're never going to commit to you in a way that you seek, which is secure, masculine treatment towards a woman, right? All of these things are going to be swept away because of one decision that these girls make. So again, that ties back into the purpose of Unfiltered, to try to avoid all of these things.
I like it.
So we have a lot to say, and there's a lot of women, young girls that need this platform to help guide them back into the right state of mind. For instance, I'm from a Latin culture, and she's Armenian, so you know, there's a lot of that.
Well, you guys are in for a treat.
Oh, yeah.
You know why? Because women don't like to listen. It's a lot easier for a man to knock some sense into another man, but it's
right.
I would say it's even easier for a man to knock sense into a woman than a woman to knock sense into a woman.
That's definitely true. I think even in our relationships, we can see situations like that play out. When my boyfriend and I got together, I was definitely not at the caliber of femininity that I am now as I was when we first met. He was a big factor in a lot of the changes that took place internally. But parallel to that, as much as he was an influence on me, the work still came from my end. So he made that bridge and he met me there halfway. It's now my turn to close the gap and show him, hey, babe, thank you for showing me a different side of the coin. Here's how I can contribute to that. And what did that look like? Changing up everything the way that I was doing to prior, right? So that included becoming more patient. He taught me a lot about patience, not rushing into things, taking your time, really figuring out what it is that actually makes sense and is appropriate to do in the moment. So the right man or the right woman, I think, impacts heavily in one's life and how it plays out.
Yeah.
Thanks, babe.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, same. I mean, you and I have had these discussions, and it's important that you do have influences, but nonetheless, it comes from within.
Yeah.
You mirror your outside. I just had that conversation with one of my clients today, and I said, I like to ask my clients questions, and where do they see themselves ideally? What would you enjoy doing? And she says, if I could, I would want to be a stay-at-home mom. She's like, I love it. Even when I get to work from home, I love it. I get my job done, cooking, cleaning. I get my kids to school, and I get to spend time with them, and I feel good. Everybody's happy. And I said, well, why don't you want to do it? She's just like, I don't know. I said, have you talked to your husband about it? She's like, no. I said, what if he doesn't want to tell you because he thinks you really enjoy working?
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, oh, yeah, sure. You take care of the house and have a part-time job, cool. As long as our kids are being well taken care of and educated the way they want to educate them, then why not? And so she's like, so I like to plant those seeds into my clients' heads and give them a different perspective on looking. And she was telling me, I sometimes just doubt myself. So she looked into talking to a therapist, and she also said, you know what? I like coming here because I have therapy, and it's nice to have that from another woman. So that embraces me to continue this path and speak to other people so that they can hear, hey, we all have been there, done that. And I'd rather be that resource that I wish I had when I was younger. In my early 20s, even teens. I mean, I know we don't really listen, and I'm sure I probably had somebody at that age, but a lot of my friends, everything that I wish I had, I didn't have that anybody, obviously. No family, cousins, not really.
No, they weren't what? They weren't feminine? Or they weren't the housewife type material?
No housewife. Like, I grew up with some of my family, but I got not the good side of it. Where it inclined me not to want to become a stay-at-home wife.
Yeah, I know that.
I'm trying, okay?
I'm dealing with the aftermath of your upbringing.
Hey, at least I'm trying to make a change.
No, you've been wonderful, babe. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying it fell upon me to take that burden.
It's not a burden.
It's not a burden.
This is what you asked for.
I know. But you're doing good, babe. You're doing good. That's why I put that ring on your finger. She ever told you a story why I put the ring on her finger?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you should tell her one sometime. Yeah.
So I was cleaning his bathroom.
Yeah?
While you were cleaning his bathroom?
No.
Wow.
I was cleaning his bathroom, and he realized that's my true Mexican.
Oh.
She cleaned my bathroom.
Aw, that's
Good job.
okay. I never knew this story.
Oh, legit, I was like, all right, I'm going to marry her. All right, she just cleaned my bathroom. I'm going to marry her.
That was different, Alex.
Huh?
That was different. That just did it for you.
Yeah, that did it for me. I mean, there's a lot of things, but that one was like, all right, fine. I'll marry her ass. Yeah.
All right, back to the topic.
Yeah. Well, so we recently met a couple, right? And it was very interesting experience. It was a great experience in the sense that not the first time we're dealing with couples, but it always boggles my mind that when couples talk to couples like us, for example, right, and we were standing there, we were listening, and they were each telling us different things about their relationship, and it's a genuine, true conversation full of emotion and real feelings, and
Right.
we were happy to be there for them, and we were happy that they were able to share that with us. It was a fantastic experience, but at some point I'm standing there, I'm listening, and they're like telling us, his side of the story, her side of the story, and I'm like, if I could just turn him and make him face each other and we just fade away in the background.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that needed to happen. They're venting to us, but they're standing next to each other and they're not hearing each other. And it was like just mind boggling. But obviously I didn't want to interrupt and be rude. I was like, we just stood there, we absorbed information, we'll listen, We're going to try to help them out through the process. But I was like, guys, you just need to communicate. So the issue that I think a lot of both men and women have is that women over communicate and men under communicate. Because women like to put out a shit ton of information and do an information overload on the men, and the men just like, yeah, cool, whatever. Because that's how we do it. It's like, all right, that's fine, and it irritates both parties.
And I think that's why it's important that women really dig deep in finding and grounding themselves as women. Because when you're a woman, you're able to read your partner and understand at what level of energy they have. I mean, there's been times where you've come home and you're just, hi babe. I'm like, hi. And I'm not going to be like, oh my God, you're just like, oh, this is too much for me. Yeah. And I know how to, because I had to make sure I ground myself and I'm in that mood to accept and to see where you're at, to lead, the conversations. If I was always, on edge, we'd be bumping heads all the time. Because a man shouldn't have to deal with that, nor should a woman. If he comes home or if you were to come home and being upset and yelling at me, then it's going to throw me off, and me being Latina, then I trigger back, my toxicity. But I also I've come to terms where I've grounded myself and I've wised up, and I don't add too negatives and just give him his space. But luckily you catch that before you pop off. You know how to check yourself. And sometimes there's very minimal times, but that I've had to, talk to you about how you've vocalized some things, but you're receptive to it because of how I talk to you about it and how I go about the situation, and not just like, why'd you come home bitching at me the other day? Like, no, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Why do you think women have a hard time accepting the fact that they need to calm down and speak a certain way to a man?
Easy. Program. Everything that's being pushed, even in the movies. Open up any recent, within the span of last 10, 15 years that's come out. Woman is always the strongest hero in the movie. The man is portrayed as somebody dumb, somebody who never or doesn't do the right thing, and you see this constantly. That conditions the brain to form that perception of the opposite sex then. And it plays out both ways, because then men are going to be more submissive, right, in that feminine energy when it comes to women, and vice versa. And then they wonder why things don't work out. So when they, to answer your question, I would say a lot of it is just condition.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's a condition that was added on top of already existing problem.
Yeah.
Because you now have two different generations. You have one generation of men who's been brought up by single moms, okay, who babysat the shit out of them, and fucking helicopter moms, and those men grow up to be boys, grown-ass boys, who still need some kind of approval or admiration or seek approval from a woman. And you have the same age generation of men who were conditioned and raised, a lot of them also by single moms. Queen, blah, 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 plus the social media and all the movies and all that stuff. And so they think they're the shit. And they think being masculine is what's going to make him happy. But eventually, when they get into a relationship, they realize that I can't constantly be masculine with this weak ass dude.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, both of them are outside their realm. This fool doesn't understand that he needs to man up, because he as a man, is going to be a better man, a better human being when he really taps into his masculine potential.
Yes.
Her not realizing that her natural state is feminine energy, and it's constant collision back and forth, and then shit doesn't work out, and you have no families.
Mm-hmm.
Not even talking about making kids, or if you make kids, Jesus Christ, man, that child goes up fucked up. I see that all the time.
With
Mm-hmm.
family members.
I've seen that. I've witnessed that at work, doing child custody stuff all the time. And some of these parents, I swear to God, man, some of these parents need to go to jail just for being absolute morons doing child custody exchanges to each other.
I think
To each
you
other.
need
Like,
to-
they're just so toxic, stupid, like borderline evil with each other, that it projects directly onto kids, and you can tell those kids were already fucked up. Already
kids
fucked up.
become ammo at that point. I know parents that utilize their kids within their divorce to, whether they're the messenger, whether they're going. It's unfortunate. It really
Yeah.
is, because you see how situations like that play out in their life as they grow up. And it's all little traumas. And the lucky ones, the smart ones, they're aware of it and they acknowledge it and they're able to remedy the situation. But what quantity of people aren't aware of that and walking through life completely oblivious to all
Yeah.
of these things?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad. I don't even know if that generation of children will ever even have a family. They're just probably going to be like, oh, hell no. I'm not having kids.
I
It's
think
all
you should be
fucked up.
tested now in order to become a parent. There should be
Yeah.
a standard, there should be an
Yeah.
SAT exam
Yeah.
to become a parent.
You know what? Okay. And this is where we're going to have some conversations right now, okay?
We're getting deep.
We're getting deep.
Oh,
And I
okay.
think women need that more than men, because women are the gatekeepers to sex.
Right.
Baby comes from sex, at least as far as I know. We don't clone each other on massive mass production, right? So men are gatekeepers of marriage. Women are gatekeepers of sex. Yeah, there's some idiots out there who can't even control their own marriage or access to marriage, but for the most part, babies come from sexual relationship, right? So if women just knew how to keep their legs closed, plain and simple, we wouldn't have so many babies that grow up without fathers or single parent.
Again, conditioning, promiscuity. Why is sex being glorified so much? I remember Leo and I were talking about this the other day, thinking back to the time that we grew up. I think it was around 2003, 2002 maybe. I remember finding a deck of cards in my dad's office, and it had...
You want water? Deck of cards? What
I
kind
found
of
a
cards?
deck of cards, playing cards, but
These
it
like-
was the Playboy playing cards where they had like beautiful like women in bikinis on the covers, and I remember thinking like, oh my god, you'd never seen anything like that on TV. There wasn't even the R-rated films never had any sexual scenes lasting more than like making out or something.
2003? I don't know.
Not so much. It wasn't pushed that now you're open. I'm afraid to open Instagram sometimes when I'm out in public, because the things that pop
Instagram
up,
has gone out of
the things
control. Out of control.
you have to be
man.
careful. Now I see why people walk around with those covers on
Yeah.
their phone.
Yeah.
You have
And
to.
what they do now is you follow a page. Let's
Oh,
say
yeah.
you follow a page that you've been following because it has interesting stuff,
Yes.
right? And then what they do, they turn on and they sell that page.
Yes. Yes.
And then you
Or
don't
they'll
see,
advertise.
and then boom, some company, and then you just see like ass on your face, and you're like,
Exactly.
what the hell? Like, I genuinely got caught like that one time because I had no idea. I mean, I've looked at women in my phone before. It's not with her, with my previous relationship. And I opened a page and I'm like, I cannot believe, like, this page, it was perfect setup. Of course, she didn't believe me. You're following ass pages? Like, no, but luckily I was able to go back and see, okay, you see, like, from before it was different posts.
It
Now
wasn't
they
this
sold
2
the
days
page.
ago.
But it's ridiculous.
That's what happens though.
That's a setup. That
Yeah.
should be legal. That should be legal, I think, on Instagram.
Well, they're working on that now with
Really?
Pornhub. Yeah, they're trying to remove it.
Yeah,
and-
it's almost like they trick you in. Oh,
Mhm.
look, masculine stuff, and then boom, follow this porn star. Like,
But
nah.
that's what I'm saying, that it boils down to, again, conditioning. Because like with that card example, that was way back when, right? Yeah, it might have
20
been.
years ago.
Yeah, there could have been movies or things of that nature, but it wasn't as deep and as explicit as it is now. Now it's accessible anywhere, really. You're not even, it's nothing new to you. Back then, there was a different excitement even from men that were able to access things like that because you could not come across it often.
I would contribute it to the cultural differences.
Mm.
Because Western culture is predominantly what? Christian.
Mm-hmm.
What is the most tolerant religion in the world? Christian,
Mm-hmm.
right? That in the Bible says somebody slaps you on one cheek, give him another cheek. You know, right? I love Christianity. I'm Christian. I'm baptized, but certain things I don't necessarily agree with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you slap me on one cheek, I'm not giving you my other cheek. You know, and that's why, you know, certain ways I like and respect Islam more.
Mm-hmm.
But notice the Western culture gets pretty toxic. You would compare our culture, right? You would compare European culture, who's,
Mhm.
you know, part of, you can call the Western culture as
Mhm.
well. Just ridiculous liberal laws. Like in France, you're not allowed to do paternity test, I believe. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, as a father, you're not allowed
Mm-hmm.
to ask for a paternity test.
Wow.
How ridiculous is that? Like, you're white, your baby is born black, you can't even ask for a paternity test. That's stupid. So I would want to live in France, for example.
Would you contribute that towards religion, or, like you said, culture? Because if we're gonna say culture, my culture, Armenian, is also predominantly Christian, right? The
Correct.
majority of the culture. So within my culture, there is nothing tolerant about that. We
Yeah.
have very, very strict moral and values in place, and things that dictate how we're going to maneuver in certain circumstances, which would never tolerate anything moving outside the boundaries. We can be respectful of those things, but we're not going to kneel in front of it and say, walk
Yeah.
over us, please.
Yeah.
That's not happening. So I don't think that's religion, because it's our religion that's pushing us to be so, have our barriers up against things like that, right? So I think what they did in the West that you're referring to in terms of religion and Christianity is, I think they were bullied into becoming
Who?
tolerant. Christians.
Christians were bullied?
Yes, because it was already viewed as such a negative thing within all the cults that were going on at the time. All of this movement, and I think that's also what kind of helped them push this narrative that Christianity was this toxic religion.
Yeah.
And because of that, Christians were like, well, okay, if we're going to be accepting, I guess we're just going to have to. And then that leewayed into where we are now.
Yeah, there's no limit. It's like gay churches and there's pastors that saying that God was transgender. See, that's too much. I think I sent it to you, didn't I? There's a video of this dude. I think it was some skinny looking white dude. He's like, yeah, God was transgender. Like, see, well, there has to be a limit. Okay, I'm a tolerant person. I'm not gonna like pick at you just you have certain beliefs, right?
Yes.
As long as you have like good morals, as long as you're not hurting other people. If you don't hurt yourself. I don't give a shit. If you're not hurting other people, you're not trying to like sexualize and be a predator against like women and children or even other men. Like, I'm okay with that. But if you're trying to do any of those stuff, someone's gonna get hurt. There's gonna be a different version of me who's gonna step up. But the problem is, not everybody's willing to do that. Everyone just wants to look the other way and be like, okay, we're gonna let it happen. And that's what I think is. I would have to agree with you. The deeply rooted religion and religious beliefs can actually make a difference. Because I don't see that happening somewhere in like Dagestan.
No.
You know, like ever.
And there's traditional
Ever.
roles too, and everyone lives perfectly fine according to those set of beliefs.
Yeah. I might be able to see it like, you know, where I come from or even you because it's more westernized, but not like, not over there. And I respect that. I respect that. I don't know. Someone's gonna have to do something about it.
Well, that's why we're all here.
What do you think about women's sports being taken over by other women?
Oh, we're jumping into this.
Yeah. Well, we're covering all topics.
Let's
Hey,
do it.
it's unfiltered, right? So might as well. I heard this hilarious joke by Andrew Schultz, man. Shout out to Andrew's shows. It's hilarious. He's like, I can't wait till the day will transgender women kick out all women out of women's sports so that women can sit their asses down and realize what white people felt like when they let black people play sports.
Easiest sport. Put him in a boxing ring. Boxing ring.
I
don't want to see swimming. I don't want to see basketball.
Yeah.
I don't want to see soccer. I want to see your woman and
that
a
happened.
woman
That happened.
getting into a ring.
There was either boxing. It was either a boxing event or some kind of event where it was a full-on transgender woman fighting a biological woman. And I'm telling you, that biological woman was a big girl. Like, I'm comfortable with violence, but I probably would think twice if I tried to fight that bitch. She was big.
Yeah.
And she was mean. But the transgender woman still whooped her ass. I don't care what you say, man. You can't fight nature.
Right.
Men are physiologically, we're stronger, bigger, in general.
I don't know if they interviewed. I remember seeing an interview. A journalist was asking, was it Ronda Rousey? I'm not sure, but they were like, what if, would you get in a ring with a transgender woman? And she's like, look, I don't care who you put me in the ring with. Even their lightweight compared to our heavyweight is not going to, there's no way. He will beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
How is that even a question? And the way that she answered, it was so satisfying to watch, because she's looking at her like, what kind of question are you at? Do you hear yourself?
Serena Williams said that, you put me like on against a tennis player in some kind of freaking low division, they're still gonna whoop my ass. And that's Serena Williams. She's the best female tennis player in the world, on the planet, and she still said that. Yeah. Well, what's that guy that beat a woman in swimming? He was like 134th in men's category. He switched over and he won. Yeah. He's like a nobody. He's 134th. And then he switched off and he, what's his name?
It was Leah Thompson.
Leah Thompson, yeah. That was so dumb. Ridiculous. And then I was watching this interview with the girl who's supposed to win the first place, the blonde chick. She's a female swimmer. She was saying something about, like, in the locker room, they would have to change together. And at some point she walked in, and it was either him or somebody. It was a dude changing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
At what point will it stop?
At what point will it stop? Well, there's two possible scenarios. Number one scenario is slightly better than number two. Number one scenario is we try to do it the non-violent way, in the sense that, education, bringing back the nucleus family, taking away this indoctrination, borderline radicalization from schools and education system. That'll take time. Another way, which is faster but it's more violent, and it's when actual men, just get fed up with this shit, and things will get really bad for a few days or a few weeks or a few months, and it'll be back to normal. There will be no more. It's like in Mother Russia. The first annual gay parade was the last annual gay parade too, forever. Yeah, it wasn't even a parade. They tried. Yeah, or in Iran, they tried to have a gay parade, and
that incentive to fight towards something, to even revolutionize anything, has just been lost from our country, from this nation.
Patriotism.
If I was, I go back and I compare, right, during the times of the civil rights and everything that was going on, and all of the brilliant young people that stood up to things like this. Imagine it in current time, with the way that people are built now, right, towards things. There is no emotional attachment to even defend something that means something to you. So if this was back then, you can forget about having any rights, period. You can forget about Rosa Parks standing up, people speaking out against anything wrong in the world going on at that point. You get what the point I'm trying to make? Like, there was a deep set of passionate, I guess, exertion towards the problem, right?
Yeah. Like
you said, men standing up and taking action, men and women taking action, but of course the physical burden lands on men.
Yeah.
So if this was back then, nothing would be happening. I think what's stopping us right now, things could have happened, should have happened, probably would have happened if, like you said, people were to actually take a step. I see things like this education portion of it happening, where people talk about things like this, and that's important, and that's also great. But what is it actually pushing towards at the same stride?
Oh.
the timing that it would take. What I'm trying to understand is what is it that we're actually waiting to happen? How deep in some bad thing do we have to be for people to finally wake up and be like, oh no, something actually has to change?
It has to get really bad. The difference is that there's one factor that makes all the difference is that back then you had men, and now men are becoming a dying breed, which is what what you call it, the government, right? The matrix or whatever you want to call them, the evil people. What are they doing? They're systematically taking away masculinity and fathers and proper role models and calling it toxic. That's the contributing factor. If you had a society full of strong masculine Christian or not God-fearing, I don't care if it's Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, just masculine, strong, God-fearing men, this wouldn't be happening. Right. This wouldn't happen. I don't care what you say, this wouldn't happen, because men don't let that shit happen. We don't let this shit slide. Like, we get fed up with it quick. It's the nice guys who go with the flow and allow shit to happen and be tolerant. Fuck that. Nothing. No. This at some point tolerance stops. Now, you can come to my front porch, I'll give you food, but if you're trying to break through that fucking door, I'll put a bullet in your head. That I'm not longer going to be tolerant.
Right.
I
think people forget that that's actually how some people live, and it's a dying breed.
But dude, I travel a lot.
Mess around and find out.
There's places where I've been to. I was like, yeah, some of these rednecks, I better be fucking polite to them and shit, because I don't know how much. Yeah, this fool's gonna pull up on me. I'm gonna be somebody's dinner, like borderline scary. But you know what? You might even need that. I haven't seen a single transgender person walk around those neighborhoods. Tell you that much. Yeah. It's all this shit happens when you have too much comfort, where nobody speaks up, when you have like nothing to do, when you have lack of patriotism and stuff.
Well, I also think that it's because there's a lot of people that are distracted. There's a lot of people that will watch sports, will take more of their time and invest more of their time into sports, into TVs, into episodes, than to really invest in their mindset. Like, I was driving down Disneyland, and I'm like, how many people are really spending their money and their time to go to that park?
Disneyland Park?
Yeah.
A lot.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars that people pay.
Millions.
To just be annual pass holders. I came across this app where I saw just so many people are like, oh, avid Disney pass holder, and I'm like, what the hell? I really hope that there's people out there that will dedicate their time to their books, their education, and believing in something that's going to empower themselves. But a lot of them, they just Disney or episodes, and that's all great, but come on, at what point are you trying to elevate yourself?
Never. Some people don't ever elevate themselves.
And it's sad because there are people like you and I and you guys that will invest more on traveling, on books, on education, on visiting somebody that you follow on social media that is trying to make an influence in this world. And then there are people that will put that amount of money into sports, into Disneyland, into annual. Like, I'm all for having fun. But when you go there every fucking weekend, that's all your hard-earned money towards that? Like,
I generally don't like that place. I don't like crowd places. And I have a problem, I guess you call it, with Disneyland. They're a little too woke, a little too, sexualized, too whatever you want to call it.
I mean, look at Pinocchio.
That place is fucking...
That Disney movie. It shows you that all those little boys, they turned them into donkeys.
Yeah.
And what's
well, I'm no longer surprised. Yeah, surprised that movie, the Barbie, that was super dumb. Yeah.
Demasculating.
Yeah. Or we when we go to movie, we sometimes go watch movies and we see those trailers. She already knows I get pissed.
There's nothing to watch.
I get pissed.
Literally, the
Yeah.
other day, he's
I
like, babe, let's go
know.
to the movies. I pulled it up. I'm like, okay, next. By the end of it, I was like, that's it?
Dude, I thought I was the only person who felt that way. Yeah.
But no, everyone's complaining because you go online, they're like, why is there nothing of substance to watch?
There's nothing.
Everything is the same concept, kind of,
Yeah.
same, either it's a horror film or something. And again, negative things being constantly pushed.
Yeah.
And then you find one good action movie. They have to, I guess they have a guideline now to include some
five of
kind of
them?
transgender character or something.
Oh yeah,
They gotta
that's
include
true. Yeah,
some-
there was
some-
40
Yeah.
in Hollywood now for all those production companies. Yeah, I think you have to have 30 or 5 or 40% like those people included in your
To get to be
yeah,
considered
to
for an
to get the
award
fund,
even.
yeah, to get it, yeah, and then
The Emmy,
funding and all
was
that
it?
stuff. Huh? Yeah,
The
something like
Emmys,
that.
yeah.
That's
To
why I
be
really like
considered of an
what
award.
Patrick Bet-David's standing for. He wants
Mhm.
to build Hollywood in Florida. Well, Hollywood came from New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
right? Right. 'Cause Thomas
Moved out
Edison,
here.
he messed with all the Jews that owned those production companies, and they're like, "F you, man, we're out." So they went to Hollywood and created Hollywood. So now what Patrick Bet-David is doing, and I think in the next 10 years, he's gonna do it. And mark my words, I'll be there, doing this with him because I believe with what he stands for,
Right.
our visions align, and he's building the whole platform over there, and I think we need that because Hollywood is just satanic, sexual, freaking sex trafficking.
Look at the P. Diddy
Organization.
allegations coming out now. That's a headline.
Dude, that guy too. I'm almost feeling bad for that guy. Like, it's not stopping. It's like it's
No,
long
he pissed somebody off. You could
Mm.
tell he pissed somebody off. Somebody higher up.
for sure.
They would not just
For
cut
sure.
his tail like that in that
Yeah,
way. At the
no.
caliber he is at, please.
He did, yeah. And you can't have so much information that never really came up like that.
Right.
It's always been suppressed. You know it's
Mhm.
been suppressed, and now it just came to the point where he was either need to be taught a lesson, or he did something where he deserves it, or he
Well,
just
let's talk about those women those young girls who will just throw themselves out there just to have fame. You know, that one song, I Need a Girl Part 2. There's a
I
part.
Need a Girl Part 2.
There's a part where you open the door and it's Diddy and the other rappers, and they
R.
open
Kelly?
the door. No, they open the door and there's a line on the staircase. There's a line of girls, and they all.
Oh
look
yeah.
Mm.
That's right. I remember that. I
And
remember
I
that
was
music
like,
video. Yeah.
oh, that's totally signifying what
Yeah.
he was doing. And obviously, yeah, it was back in the day, and during the 90s, early 90s, 2000, right? Or late 90s, 2000s. And everybody just kind of like,
Because we label it as art.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I mean, let's be honest, I feel like, unfortunately, there's always going to be a need and a want.
Yeah. Sex sells, like I said earlier. Always.
There's girls that are gonna just be desperate for it, the fame, because they want to become that actress, that next top model, that they're willing to sell it because they've lost their soul, and they just rather give up what they have to be up there and have that name for themselves, but they don't want to do the work. Just like going to the gym, just like eating right.
Hmm.
It's tough, it's hard, but who else is going to do the work for you?
I think for them at that level, borderline is just impossible. It's like you have to sell your soul to the devil.
Hmm.
And that's
You know,
what
it's no longer, I'm going to work so hard, I'm going to be the next Beyonce. No, like, look at Beyonce. Beyonce is like white. She's more white than a white person. She's freaking albino now. You know, that's kind of weird. Last person that did that ended up being a weirdo, right? Michael Jackson. You know?
So those,
He's a little weird, dude. Shit's getting weird.
the girls that, I mean, when I was doing the modeling, I would see a lot of young girls and what they would do, and I just would watch, and I'm like, oh,
They're being hoes.
I'm not saying that.
Well, that's what
But-
you imply.
No, I didn't. I
No.
just said it was just interesting. And then you hear on the news how some of them would just end up dead at a photo shoot.
Oh.
And it doesn't make sense. We live out in LA. It's cruel. The streets are cruel. and they want to go to events by themselves or not let anybody know where they're at. Like, unfortunately, we don't live in the early 90s anymore. It's not safe. Give somebody your location. That's an ability now to do it on your phone.
There's also a lot of weirdos out there.
There's a lot of them. And young girls don't understand that, hey, this is common sense. If you're going to get into this industry, get into it right. Take somebody with you, send somebody your location, go do information, do your research on these photographers or the events. I remember when I first started the modeling, I always made sure I had somebody with me. Whether the people would allow me. If they didn't allow me to bring somebody, then I wouldn't go. I'm like, I don't know you. I have enough common sense to know it's my life or my career. Okay, well, at least if I go to do something that I enjoy, I gotta take somebody with me. But these girls, I mean, I get it. Nobody wants to go with you. They're willing to take that risk. It's scary. And it's evil.
Yeah.
But if more women, young girls, knew that there are women like Kylana and I that want to provide that information and those tools to help them just know right from wrong. Like, you don't have to go and throw your ass and your titties out on the camera just because you need some extra cash. Like, come on, you can sell drop shipping or simple shit like that. But
why would you do that when you can go and shake your ass and tits on OnlyFans at home and make a lot more money?
There's other ways to make money.
No, but okay, let's look at this the face value. Okay, why would I waste my time working, building drop? It's not like you start drop shipping today and it makes money.
That's my point.
Yeah, I'm being a devil's advocate right now. Like, why? If I was a woman right now, and I didn't give a shit at how much I don't give a shit as a man, I'd probably be like, here we go, look at my pussy, pay me money.
Well, that's why things like the morals and self-respect and things like that. Shame is a big one.
I don't think there's self-respect. There's delusion.
Yeah.
I never seen a stripper or who's.
Do you think an element of shame also comes into play? Because
Absolutely.
Without that.
Absolutely.
Like, I know, and it's a big thing in, like, our cultures, too, the shame element. We were talking about this the other day. She was asking me about, like, cultural things like that, and I said the element of shame is a big one for us because it ties in and it helps us from from doing a lot of things that we shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
There is a negative side to that too, as always. Both ends of the spectrum are
it goes
bad.
A little too far sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's a double-edged sword, and I acknowledge that, and I had to pick the lesser of two evils, I would rather pick the conservative side that's keeping me within the realms of shame, as far as my movement in life goes, as opposed to the chaos that's currently happening everywhere around me.
Yeah.
So if you take out shame, even Andrew Tate was speaking about this, about why he prefers Romania and Romanian girls out there, because there's still the concept of, I can't be seen with you, my dad or my brother might know. And he says you have to go outside. No, things like that still exist in certain, I guess, cultures that place a much heavier importance on that. I know Asian culture is a big one. They also place very heavy emphasis on things like this within men and women dynamics. So if we're going to talk about that, I think bringing back shame. Myron likes to express this on Fashion Fit too. He says bring back shame, public shaming, because it was such a good motivator for people to act right.
Yeah. Is that how you guys did vape first time? Just, hey, don't tell your dad. We're going to go on a date. We're going to get some coffee.
It was like that. He could not park in front of my house. He had to park like two houses down.
Park. You had to park a few houses away.
Yes.
That's my boy right
and
there.
And then
he says, I was just walking by. How you doing? Your tires are missing. It's not me. That's good. No, but the thing is, you can always do a certain amount of like stuff like that.
Right.
Right. In any culture, like where it has like shaming. Right. Mm-hmm. But then when you have absolutely no standards or morals, then you have no shaming, and you do ridiculous things like doing porn online and game banging 5 guys and 365 bodies in 365 days. That was fucking ridiculous. This girl. That's that goes a long way. I just feel bad for some of these women. I genuinely do, because I think if women don't wake up, oh man, there's a study done, and I think by 2030, actually bankers did that. Bankers did a study, and that study was not emotionally based. Right? It was based strategically and specifically on numbers and data, because otherwise they would have no benefit to it, right? It wasn't done like by a group of women who are feminists. Let's research what happened to women next 10 years. No, it was done by the bankers, and it predicted. And at this rate, these women, these queens, by 2030 is going to end up fucking dying alone with cats.
Yeah, I'm aware of
It's
that
called
study.
what's that study called? Sheconomics, I think. Yeah,
That
it's
was
crazy.
incredible. That was incredible.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
estimation. But you see that happening now. I mean, there's on these podcasts, some of them I watch, they have older women come on. By older women, I would say like around 40, 50 years old, that have been living that kind of club, promiscuous lifestyle, and the majority of them are just, first of all, it's interesting because you could right away tell that there's just a sense of dead soul. Just
It's
you
sad.
could see it through the eyes. It's amazing. There's just nothing there. Dead, walking around and doing whatever it is. I guess even at that point, if you're so dead inside, doing things like that make you feel something, so something better than nothing. Maybe that's what it is too. It's really sad.
It's sad. Like, you're realizing that you're gonna end up dying.
And some of them, the
alone.
smart ones, they get on and they say, hey, look, I did X, Y, and Z, and it did not get me where I needed to be. So they talk against it. And then some of them, the ones that are still in delusion, oh, no, it's perfectly fine. I could have a man today if I wanted to. Girl, where?
You know,
Where is he?
it's such a lie. This whole feminist thing is such a lie. And it's a lie because, first of all, if feminists care so much about women, then how come they're not saying shit about women's sports? Nothing. I don't see them protesting. I don't see them going on national television. I don't see them creating fucking Facebook pages against that. Nothing. And the second thing is, I don't see them saying shit about strippers and prostitutes. You know? Why not? How come they're not shaming men? Oh my God, you shouldn't be idolizing OnlyFans. You shouldn't be idolizing strippers. Shouldn't be, using prostitutes. You know, like all of a sudden, so those two are okay.
Oh, because slut shaming did that.
Yeah, but we're only going to use feminism when it's like, we want to get paid same amount of money for working less hours. We want to be wined and dined while we're being hoes. We want, all of a sudden that's when you're a feminist. I mean, get out of it with that bullshit.
Yeah. I had when I was bartending, I had a waitress tell another waitress.
She's fat.
No, she says, I don't think it's right that guys get to touch these girls if they're here, like walking around. And one of the waitress looked at her and said, do you remember where you work? You work at a gentleman's club. She says, well, yeah, it's still not right. Then don't work here. This is like their job. They signed up for that. Yes, respectfully, you don't have to, a man shouldn't touch a woman, just grab, at least be
absent consent, right?
What? You chose that profession. You're gonna be grabbed.
Right. I understand.
Sorry.
That. I understand that. Yeah. But I guess my type of women would expect, like when I was bartending, there were gentlemen that were like, not gentlemen. There were men that would be promiscuous, and I had to just listen. I'm a bartender. You do not cross the bar. You stay on that side. I stay on this side. Oh, you don't do dancing? No, I don't do dancing. You can throw your money and I will dance behind the bar, but that is it. Like, no. So, but there are girls out there that have no boundaries whatsoever.
Yeah.
And they're waitresses. And even if you're a waitress, hey, I have boundaries, don't touch me. Simple. Vocalize that. But there are some women, no, I can't say anything.
Well, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's like, I'm gonna be a stripper, or I'll work at a strip club, but I'm gonna make my own rules, like, and it goes across a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's that comfort and convenience. I mean, strippers need to understand that if you're gonna be a stripper, you're gonna put yourself through that. Sorry.
Well, they're lazy.
They're lazy too. Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole different story, dude. Like they become Why is people in general becoming lazy everywhere? Going and asking for
younger.
$25
This younger
an hour.
crowd.
Yeah.
You know why? Because it's
Horrible.
more convenient for them to just be on their phones and send
Yeah.
pictures.
There was another study done about that too. That the generation Gen Z, like the worst generation to hire. Shit, I can tell you that from personal experience.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, dude, fuck. But there was actually a study done that they're the worst when they can't take any criticism. They can
Take
and they
everything
cannot
personal.
make decisions on their own.
Entitled.
They're entitled. They want too much. They want a minimum amount of work. And the worst part is they're unable to make decisions on their own. You know?
There was a TikToker, a school teacher who teaches at a private school. And he got on saying, you guys are talking about the public school system. I can tell you right now, I work at one of the more elite private schools. And 4th and 5th grade, he's like, they can't read. They can't do basic math.
Yeah.
They can't. Their attention spans are that of a squirrel, probably.
Yeah, because they scroll all the time.
It's horrible.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And it's
Oh,
everything
electronics.
is, everything is feeding into it. Leo and I talk about this in the future when we become parents. I don't want to speak too soon ahead of time because I don't know what that territory will bring me.
Yeah.
Everyone always says you never know until you become a parent, right? But the way I see things moving right now, even parents just for their own convenience. Here you go. iPad, phone, something.
Or toy.
Distract.
Yeah.
Let me do my own thing. It's like, I get that you have things to do. We all do. But what could possibly, if you decided that you are now mature enough to bring life onto this planet, you should then also know that there is an area of responsibility which must come under your supervision for that child to move them properly through life. And if you're just handing them something to distract them, to promote your own convenience, what do you think is going to happen to that child? And in the event that something does, could you really blame them? Because you're going to, as a parent, you're going to turn around to your kid, well, why didn't you do it this way? Or you should know better. No, they don't. No, they don't. All they know better is how to turn up the volume on that iPod.
Yeah, I
Film,
remember that we
film
were
a
having-
TikTok. That's what they know how to do better now.
We were having a dinner at the Korean barbecue, and there was a father and daughter sitting right next to us.
Oh yeah.
She was glued to her phone. And this fool, that's what I also have
He
no respect
noticed
for
that
him.
we were looking at him.
He would like tell her one time, second time, third time, fourth time. I was like, dude, nah, you. If that was my daughter, after the first time, on the second time, the phone would have been flying across the restaurant, or probably just, yeah, it wouldn't be in her hand.
My
Was-
nieces and nephews have to sleep. Baby time, nap time is with the phone. You have to put it in the crib, and they fall asleep under it, and that's
Dude, that's
that.
not good, man. That's gonna disrupt their
They
attention
got, I
span
told
like
myself, I'm like, you
crazy.
got them used to it. It's your
Yeah.
doing.
And
Shouldn't
they're doing
have
the same
done
thing with food,
it. Mhm.
right?
Oh my gosh. We want to go eat. We went to Lucille's. Okay. We sat down. There was a couple. The mother has a baby.
Mhm.
And I don't know if she was also pregnant. I couldn't tell. And the husband
Tell me the story too.
was sitting there with their 6-year-old. And they were all, at least the parents were both, each were at least 300 pounds. Their kid was probably barely 5 years old already, a good 80 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I looked at Alex and I said, this is sad. This is very, very sad. That kid has already roles of his own. And it's just
A lot of that. I would say, if I were to blame one party more than the other, I would blame men, because men should be leaders and women follow men a lot of times.
Right.
So if you as a man are not in shape, not taking care of yourself, then you woman might follow the same path. It's easy for her.
Right.
It's only natural. Like, men lead, women follow.
Even in, I
And-
think, areas of discipline, like you said, putting their foot down and be like, we're not doing this in this house anymore. Let's come together as a team. I respect you as my wife. Let's have a conversation about this. How can we better the health in our family? We're used to buying this. Babe, we're going to switch it up now. This is the list of groceries that we're getting. It's simple. It's just people don't want to take the steps to do it.
It's too hard.
It's not easy. It's not easy. I tell you what, coming from a different culture where we ate a lot, we haven't eaten processed foods or very minimal amounts.
Right.
It's actually a disadvantage. Like it requires work and effort to eat clean, and you have to be able to make enough money to eat clean. I mean, shit. Nowadays, like we eat clean for the most part. We try to, and I eat a lot. Right, I eat like 5-6 eggs for breakfast every day.
6.
Wow.
Sometimes 5.
6.
So yeah, to
6
eat.
eggs.
I know she's right because she does the cooking now.
Yeah, I eat 6 eggs. I eat like 2 burger patties. I eat like
man.
avocado, cheese, fruits. Yeah, I feel great though. I feel great. I took out the carbs out of my food. Not completely. I eat very little, and I feel fantastic. Yeah. Besides the 2 pitas that I had earlier, 2 pita breads. That's a lot of carbs. But I skipped lunch, so I'm okay. What was I saying? Oh, I had a question. What's up with those female teachers who are getting charged with freaking child rapes? There's a lot. Okay, it's first when it started happening like a year or two ago. I was like, damn, why didn't I have a teacher like that growing up? But it was like now it's like every day, dude. Like another
Well, do
one's
you wanna
10,
know
20. I was
why?
like, okay, this is not cool, man.
I feel like it wasn't always out there. We didn't have access to seeing all this stuff.
Let's face it. Growing up, I didn't have teachers looking like they come out now.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I had 1 or 2 here and there, but most of my teachers were freaking fat, ugly, and mean-ass bitches.
I think I can. If we were to take the genders into account, I think I can answer this 2 different ways. So if we're talking about men teachers that also engage in interaction.
Oh, but that
between
always
students.
existed. I'm not justifying that. That always
Yeah.
existed. There was always men or weirdos. Yeah.
Right. So with
Yeah.
the men, it's more of the biological thing, as in preferring younger women and obviously being
Yeah.
sexually attracted to that. What I think happens with women is the element of there's an attention deficit. So when a woman does not receive the amount of attention that is required or at least needed from somebody, let's say the person in her life, if she has one, doesn't fulfill that space for her, right? Doesn't really cover all those bases. And she's around in a situation. I'm not justifying this by any means. I'm just saying what can potentially psychologically happen to her. So in her own internal world, she's not getting the attention from the man that she's with. She feels some kind of void that she needs to fill. There's also the element of something being foreign and taboo, and that's why we're drawn to it, right? It's doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's so wrong, there's a thrill attached to it, right? There's that element playing into it. So coupling those elements together, it just forms a perfect recipe for disaster. And women are emotional. And that thrill itself is going to be something that she's going to seek. She's going to go for that, per curiosity even. And women like to dance between the shore of, Jordan Peterson describes this with creative people. He says chaos and order.
Yeah, chaos and order, that's right.
I think women tend to do that a lot too. We're always trying to test the boundaries, how far we can go. We do this in relationships.
Oh, yeah.
How
Yes,
much can I one up my man? Right? What can I do? It's not malicious. But
No, it's
there is
not,
an
it's not.
internal feminine, I guess
Yeah.
it's a quality. Maybe it's a survival
It's a
instinct
survival
too.
mechanism too, because you have, as a woman, you have to know
No, he's
how
capable.
is he going to react when we're on
Right,
the street and somebody like bumps into him or into me,
Right.
or how is he going to react when we have children,
Right.
So I don't.
That's a big attractive thing.
It's a natural thing, She does that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes
But
I'm just like,
I test Leo like that too. One of the
yeah,
first
it's natural.
ways that I knew that we were so good and what attracted me to him very intensely was the fact that he had such strict boundaries.
Yeah, babe. Yeah.
He had boundaries. He very clearly set them in place and was like, look, this is what we're doing. If you're on board, great. If not, well, I don't know what to tell you. Tough luck.
That's right. We can Horovats every weekend. That's it.
I'm actually
My
blessed in that
parents'
way.
house.
He doesn't prefer a lot of the traditional Armenian dishes, so
Really?
I'm good. Yes.
Oh, dude, I love Horovats.
Not that I enjoy
those-
cooking them either.
For those
so.
who don't know, it's Armenian barbecue. It's the shit.
Well,
It's the
men do the
shit.
barbecue. So if it's
That's a tradition.
chorovats, women,
Yeah.
we just wash.
But those are the
after.
cool
That's-
things that I really enjoy. Like, going there. I grew up, amongst a lot of Armenians. I grew up in Glendale. For those of you that don't know. Yeah, dude, that was a tradition. But even in my culture, like in Russian culture, we cook that shit all the time. All the men will be there by the grill, right?
Right.
Doing drinking, and drinking starts right there before we even get to the
Yes,
table.
you
Often
guys are
before you get
drunk
to
by
the
the time
table,
you
you're
sit
already
at the
fucked
table.
up, So, and women do the whole inside part. So that's kind of cool. Now you have this cross mix of just fucking like I'm gonna have to put one of your friends on blast right now. We went to one of our friends' party, and at that party there was a lot of dancers and artistic people, right? And somebody brought just a slab of ribs, and nothing and no way of cooking it, just ribs. So eventually, everybody ran out of their fucking veggie burgers and hot dogs. Well, first I didn't want to eat that shit, and then it's like, oh, we have ribs, and then that's it. And who's gonna fucking cook it? Nobody. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'm hungry. She's hungry. So I basically made it work. There was one more guy, Hispanic guy, was helping me out. We kind of bonded over fire, making food, and we started giving out ribs. And we offered it to one guy, and this guy goes, I don't eat ribs. And me and him look at each other like, oh, he's definitely gay.
Why?
I don't know. That was a joke. I don't know if he is or not. But it's weird for a man to deny ribs or like beef or barbecue. Like
It's a cultural thing, Alex. I know.
I guess
Armenian guys hear that and just go wow too.
Yeah,
So
it's a culture thing. I mean, I don't literally mean that he's gay. Like I don't give a shit. And I have a problem with that. One of our mutual friends, is gay, but he's super fucking cool.
not
Yeah,
he's
he's
talking
super
about
cool, dude.
he's talking about his choice in food,
Yeah.
not his sexual preference.
Yeah, exactly. There's a beauty in the cultural
Right.
differences. You
Yeah.
know, Hispanics have the same shit too.
Oh, you guys get down. Oh yes, all my Hispanic neighbors until 3:00.
Dude.
Yes,
Dude,
yes.
the amount of
From push barbecues, come on.
the
And it's
amount
always
of
a good time.
modelos that gets consumed. It's a lot.
Well, a lot of my cousins, well, not a lot of them, there's just a few of them. When we used to have parties, my cousins would go around because some of my uncles would leave some of their hot beer in the can.
Mhm.
So my cousin would go around and start drinking it.
Mm.
And that's how they start off at a young age.
Oh,
Oh man,
Mm-hmm.
shit! I thought we start young in
you
our
know what they
culture.
do with us? I think Russians do this too. When the baby's teething, they put like cognac or vodka, or
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
one of
a
those
common
fucked up
thing.
things to
Yeah.
do, dude. I don't know.
the baby
about
walks around drunk after. It's a good time.
that. Oh, that's funny. I don't know. It's. I mean, our parents grew up with driving cars with fucking didn't have seatbelts.
Mhm.
You know, and
Why do you think so many accidents happen in Glendale? It's all the new coming Armenians.
dude,
you had
'Cause they drive
car
over there.
insurance, car insurance rates anywhere within 50 miles of Glendale are ridiculous.
We did that. It's we
It's
take full
ridiculous.
blame
Or like
for that.
100 miles, dude. Like, and you can't get no fucking medical insurance for sure at a decent rate for sure, dude. You guys are fantastic, man. I love Armenians, dude. But hey,
All right, so let's go back to some
Mexican
of
people.
these topics.
oh, okay.
As the man of your stature,
Oh, here we go.
what
This
is
how I know you're about to ask some deep shit.
what, what is something that ideally men look for in women?
That's a good one.
As the category of men that I come from, or because I can't speak in general, because I have
Okay,
no
good
fucking idea
caliber.
what the current men look for in women. It's ridiculous. I can speak for like my caliber of men, I guess, or myself.
Yeah. Good value, good traditional role of a man.
First of all, being submissive.
Mm-hmm.
That is a must. Because like I said that before, the last thing I want to do is come home from a chaotic day. And granted, everybody has good or bad days, but last thing I want to do is come home and deal with some bullshit. Oh, who'd you talk to? Where were you? This and that. You didn't answer my phone. Blah, blah, blah. No, none of that shit. Second of all, she needs to have a housewife and mother potential. That's a must.
How do you
Yeah.
pick that up? What's something that gives that away?
I need to know. Well, first of all, is she nurturing?
Mm-hmm.
If she's nurturing to me, then most likely she'll be nurturing to my children, right?
Mm-hmm.
If she's able to cook a meal, then most likely when I leave, which I'll have to do, leave and work, and I'm gone, I'm traveling, I know my kids are not fucking eating McDonald's and drinking soda.
Right.
I will not accept that. We don't eat any of that. So skills like that, Is she gonna be attentive? Is she gonna be motherly? Can I trust her judgment? That's another one. Third one is, can I trust her judgment?
It's a good judge of character.
Yeah. Do I have to worry about if I leave house, first of all? Granted, she might not leave the child at home alone, but is she gonna be feeding my child fucking cell phone information and while she's watching Vanderpump bullshit, right? No, that doesn't fly. She needs to be able to, play with the child, teach the child, read a book, do whatever needs to do. That's the same way that I think children are supposed to be raised.
Right.
Those three for sure. And then obviously, intelligence, sense of humor, and you also have to include skills like, she physically attractive, she how's the sex, blah blah blah. But it's like we're going down.
Yeah, those are like the under layers of everything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another important factor is her family.
Right.
Granted, we cannot control family. We don't choose our family. But if you don't know how to set boundaries with your family, then we're going to have an issue. Because I don't want to have to step in and set those boundaries. Which as a person, like she knows, I have no fucking problem setting boundaries. Her family knows this. They respect that. They know not to fuck with me. Same goes for my family. I just established a family because once me and her in a relationship, now we're a unit. Now you just don't fuck with my family, period. It's the circle that I created goes just around me and her now.
Bigger
After that's going to be me and her and our children. But you might be a great person, Rita, right? Let's say, for example, you and Leo are dating. You're a fantastic person, right? But your parents and family are toxic, but you're just too nice to say no to them.
We have to cut that out.
That's gonna. Oh, I wonder why you're laughing. Sounds familiar, huh? She's gone through it. I've gone through it. We've all gone through it. In strong cultures like that, Hispanic culture, our cultures, Russian, Armenian, that shit is tough.
Yeah.
That shit is tough. And not being able to say no to the people that you love, that raised you, is extremely hard. And it's a long process. But once you establish it, now, like for me, for example, if I say no, it's a no.
Yeah, it's a necessary thing.
Yeah.
I think as a man, you definitely need to have
Yeah.
that trait in order
Yeah.
to fully stand up and say no, regardless of who it is.
Yeah.
Not in a aggressive, I guess, way, but in a way that you can make your point and say, look, this is just how it is. You're either gonna stop and not have a problem beyond this point, or we can see where it goes.
Yeah. I know in your culture, dude. I like to say our culture because our culture is so close.
There's
and
a lot of
embedded.
overlap.
So I'll say our cultures. They fucking love gossip.
Yeah.
Like they care about what's going on at somebody else's family more than their own.
Yeah.
I don't know about.
That's the same.
It's the same. God damn! Like mind your fucking business. Like worry about your family.
That's their way that they are able to communicate with each other is by talking about other people. That's their way of getting along. That's their way of.
I don't know about getting along.
No. They've done studies on this. Actually, women bond disproportionately better with other women who they have a common hatred for. Like, let's say me and her met, and we know X person that we both dislike. That bond is a lot stronger established in that moment as we bond over that hatred towards that
Jesus
person,
Christ, man.
as it were, if it was just bonding over even similar interests that we might have.
And
That's
that's why I'm excited about the podcast because we're now able to communicate over important things and talk about things that matter, substance, than things that are toxic or things that are just going to devalue a woman and just not add to her success or to her growth in life. And it's crazy because it's always the chismeando, like they say in Spanish, the chismeando, the gossip.
Yeah.
And it's what brings people over to like, hey, did you hear what so-and-so said? No, I didn't. Well, do you want to come over and tell me? Like, sure, let's go have brunch and talk about so-and-so.
I've listened to women gossip before. Like I would sit somewhere and I would have lunch or whatever, and I just listen to them. I was like, what in the world are you talking about? Like why does that even matter?
There's one thing to vent and then have a resolution. But
you guys don't look for resolution, that's for sure.
Hey, don't label me in that category, okay?
I'm talking about the vast majority of women.
Women, right. And that's the issue with women in this
Well,
area.
that stems to the fact that women in general, you guys your ways of bonding, and not only but also venting, is just you want to talk, you want to be
Right.
heard.
Which
That's
is
why
why
we
I'm
are-
like so excited.
Like men are problem solvers. You guys just need to like.
And I think that goes with balancing your masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever we talk, we don't gossip. We talk about
Yeah.
substance. We talk about like, hey, what's your perspective on this, and getting each other to think and not take things personal.
Yeah.
And knowing like, oh, okay, well, she means this from her heart, and she's saying it because she sees the value and she sees that she wants better for me. So she's going to make me think about something outside of the box.
That's good. That's good.
That's a really good dynamic, actually, about
Yeah.
our own friendship that, even from the beginning, really beautifully unfolded as we got closer. Before even we decided to do the podcast together, she was a great example of what it means to have an actual friend in your life. I think there's so much emphasis that could be placed on that word, but we just don't anymore. We kind of throw it around to anyone and everyone. Best friend, my close friend. What
Best
happened to words
friends.
like acquaintances and, things like that. But with Colie, it was very different because she really embodied the actual meaning of a friend. She does not take things personally. If I want to ask her about something or I have a comment about something, she knows that it's coming from a good place and it's said with the best of interests from her in mind. And vice versa. Like, I don't get in my feelings when she tries to correct me on something or show me a better way of doing something or looking at something. I'm just grateful that there is a person by my side who's even willing to not gatekeep information like that. Because
Yeah.
I've been in those friendships where, it all seems fine and everything, but there's so much going on behind the curtains. And it's like, why do we
Yeah.
even use that word to describe each other then? What's the purpose?
Or you hear from somebody else that
Yes.
that person said something about you to them, you're like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
And that's where the hate starts, because the distrust in each other, and, well, I told you in confidence, in secret, this, and then you go into a so-and-so, and then they come back and tell. It's like, I don't even want friends at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why my circle is so small. I have friends in high school, but there's a lot of girls that just don't like me, and there's girls that I know that I'm like, hey, I know you. See you on the flip side, motherfucker.
We talk about this all the time. Girls
Yeah.
have this really petty attitude. Like, girls instinctively know this. If you have a problem with another female, you can forget about it ever being the same as it was before.
Yeah.
You know that internally. No matter how positive you both try to go into it, the underlying fact, when you both see each other, there's that energy exchange of, okay, how is she playing it? I gotta read her now. Is she still keeping some things from whatever happened that day? No? Okay. What if I say something and she takes it the wrong way? That's a big one. We cannot communicate with the same filter anymore together. There's always going to be that big boundary, that wall between us because of that conflict from way back when created.
Well, that sucks, dude.
Yeah.
She's,
That's why
It's never the same. I've noticed this between men. Like, men have a more pack-oriented relationship with each other.
Yeah.
That's why things like brotherhood means so much
Yeah.
to men. And you guys thrive in those environments. When
Yeah.
I see men just being men together, it's a whole other world.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah, babe. Yeah, no,
and
it's
when you guys have a
we
problem
need
with
that.
each other,
Yeah.
it's never like, when men have issues with each other, it's very linear. You solve it, boom, you
Mhm.
move on.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could talk under your breath about it to your other friend, like, oh, okay, this guy, whatever. But it's never, you never bring that energy into the atmosphere when you're in the same room. Girls have that habit of
Mhm.
doing that, and some of them will actually go out of their way to let you know that they have that attitude.
Or they just go straight
I mean,
up
I've
ghost
seen
you.
Oh,
seen
yeah.
that so many times in college where you talking to a girl, a group of girls, and then her friend all of a sudden decides to be a bitch about it or walk away, or like, nah, we're not going with that. Yeah. Or like she didn't get a boy at the end of the night, and
Right.
she's like, nah, I'm going home. I don't want to go with you guys.
It's
It's like, why you gotta kill it for the rest of them?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just sad. I don't
But
know.
it all stems from your own insecurities and your own issues within. That's why it goes back down to being grounded. Because I know that I couldn't be that person for anybody else if I wasn't grounded. And I didn't see that for myself. If I didn't value myself, I can't give any value out. So I had to make sure that I checked myself. I also had to remember, what did I want in friendships? What did I want from a friend? I have to be that friend. If I want to see change in the world, I have to be that change. And what better way than to do it with people that I see that need the guidance or need some information. Like, what am I losing if I give somebody my true value of what I've learned? It's up to them if they want to listen or not. And I think that's why we have gifts. We have gifts to present to other people, but we learn on this trail. We're always healing. It's a healing journey. And when you get to this point of learning about how your energy works, how you can produce that to create better relationships between your friendships, between your loved ones, you're able to make wiser choices, and you're able to just be that ray of light where people are just gravitated towards you. And so having this podcast, Unfiltered, we're able to create that platform and that space for other women and other like-minded individuals to come together to speak on it. Like, hey, we can agree to disagree, but if you're gonna hold that against me, you're keeping me from growing. And if that's the case, I wish you well, but I need to grow. We all should want to grow. And helping each other and calling each other out on things will allow that person to look back and say, okay, well, they're telling me this because they care about me. They're not telling me this to be an asshole. They're telling me this because they see something in me that I spoke to them that I wanted to be different, and they're just that person to relay that information. But if we're always in our edge and we're not able to receive what other people have to say.
Well said. Well said. On that note of caring, how can your niche target or niche clientele, or all those young women who need your advice, how can they find you?
How can they find
What's
us?
what's your handle, girl?
Unfiltered by CK on Instagram, TikTok.
Unfiltered CXK
Oh, CXK, sorry.
CXK.
on Instagram. Yes.
What's CXK?
Colie and Kylana.
Oh, you fancy. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Podcast channel coming soon.
Very soon.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
In the works, we're doing the setup right now, but we have exciting new releases coming soon. Episode 1 will be dropping very, very soon, so stick around and stay tuned.
I thought this is episode 1.
Well, this is for purpose
You know
over
what?
pleasure.
Whatever,
This is the
you know,
promo video. You're
whatever,
introducing us to the podcast game.
Thanks. I do like you guys' logo, so but I'll make sure to attach the direct link to you guys' page on my page.
It's a little, under construction, but it's getting there. We're puzzle. Because I mean, let's be real. Let's be unfiltered. It's uncomfortable.
So watch out, YouTube is gonna ban your ass like it did to me.
Oh God.
And that's where.
That's why
getting
we'll be on
uncomfortable.
Rumble.
I know. Rumble seems to be the way. Okay. Well, ladies, thank you for joining me tonight on
Thank you for having
on Purpose Over Pleasure. I'm excited to listen to you guys on your guys' channel and see the growth, and I think you guys doing a good thing. As I continue my chapter, my journey of helping men, it's only fair that you guys are gonna help women, and hopefully they can find each other and create a beautiful family.
We should have a dating segment like that. Yes.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, having this platform for women, ideally, we want it so that women could also be better partners for men.
Yes.
Like yourself. You're creating men to be greater leaders. We're hoping to be able to create more women to be more feminine and submissive and balance their masculine and feminine.
Yeah, and this is also for the women that maybe didn't have the big sister growing up, didn't have the mother figure in their life growing up. Just know that there are 2 ladies on this planet that are specifically looking for girls like you. Girls that want to change. Maybe they want the change but don't know how to get to it. Whatever the case may be, reach out. There is a community here of girls that are more than willing to help you with everything that you need in your life right now.
Very strong. Very strong. I like that. Okay, wonderful. Well, again, thank you guys for joining us, and for all our viewers. I hope you guys found some value in this. Stay tuned for the Unfiltered. Stay tuned for this episode and for their own episodes. They're gonna drop a lot of knowledge, a lot of value, and make sure to click like, subscribe, and share this with those who you believe can get some value from this. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys.
Thank you.